thank you for taking out time in your day to do this with me, to let me pick your brains about your creative process and how it ties to your Enneagram type. And so I reached out to you guys because you, like myself, are type 9s, and I wanted to see how you guys navigate your creativity. And my theory is that since each type has a particular instinct that they see the world through, like they're the heart types, the 2s, 3s, and 4s that see the world through their emotions, and the head types, 5, 6, and 7, that see the world through their minds, and then the body types, 8, 9s, and 1s, like us, see the world through their physical bodies. My theory is that we also connect with our creativity with one of those instincts. And so I want to see if that's true with your creative process. And so before we begin, I want, just for our viewers, for you to tell us your name and what art you do and how long you have been doing that art. So whoever wants to go first.
Ladies first.
Wow.
Right,
Okay. So, hi, my name is Rachel. Yours. I have been dancing. Well, I would just say for like a consistent really committed is for like 4 years, which was during Naya College. So I had an opportunity to be the dance captain, and yeah, I'm excited to be here.
Cool. Excited to have you.
I'm Kyle. I do a lot of stuff. I'm not a master of anything, but I like to try a lot of stuff. I've been singing since I've been about 7 years old. So I do music stuff. I've written since I've been in 5th grade, but didn't start sharing until I came to Nyack. And yeah, those are my 2 main ones. I do some other stuff, but yeah, video stuff. That's fun.
Yeah, I was waiting for you to. I was gonna.
I forgot.
Put that in there. Yeah, video. Kyle is a videography genius, and so we put that out there.
Thank you.
and myself, I'm Emmanuel, and I do a lot of writing of all kinds, like blogging, poetry, spoken word. But my forte is novels, like particularly sci-fi and fantasy. And so I'll be talking about sharing my creative process with that as well. So that being said, let's move on to the first question. What does your creative process look like when you're creating your art? Like whether it's you're choreographing a dance or when you're writing a poem or editing a video, what does your creative process look like? Like, are there any rituals that you go through, any habits that you do? Take us through what it looks like for you. So Rachel, take it away.
Okay. My process, especially with dancing, is it varies. Sometimes I would listen to the music and just dance, just so I could get the feeling of the, like, maybe if it's an upbeat song, then I might like just feel out, like dance and just do like just for me to get comfortable with it. But or just go into worship, because most of the dances I do, or majority of it, is worship, gospel or contemporary. So that's one way. Or I would I would even pray and asking God would just bring me like ideas or thoughts of the movements, because that definitely happened, especially my first year of being a captain at Naya College. It was through prayer, and it was definitely through just me movement, but like mostly through prayer. And as I started moving, then God kind of gave me like almost even a vision of what it, like the vision of what the dance is supposed to be like. That's cool. It's different. It depends. Like sometimes like I don't know, one time I was just walking and I just started like getting moves as I was just walking. So cool. It depends on it.
That's cool. All right.
That's dope. Kyle? I feel like ritual implies discipline, and I don't have that when it comes to
or patterns, like any habits.
It's weird because like I get a lot of ideas, but I'm one of those people that like, it's like, oh, that sounds really cool, someone should do that, Like,
someone
I don't know.
should do it. And the idea is like, that's you.
Right. It's like, wow, yeah, I hope someone does that. That's
I
like,
hope you find someone.
do
cool.
if you find someone, like, it's bad. I don't know. Usually when I finally get the chance to like sit down and like work on some stuff, I don't know that I purposely do it. It's more of like an overflow of like a lot of the things that I've been feeling, because I know like as nines we don't really express our stuff a lot. So my creativity tends to be an overflow of, I guess, whatever has been on my heart and on my mind a lot. When it comes to video, it's different, just in that like I tend to just put together what I'm asked to. 9 times out of 10 I'm like video editing for other people, so like I try to give them exactly what they ask for when I'm doing my own stuff. I don't know, similar to Rachel, it's just like I get like a picture in my head where it's like, oh, this would look really cool here, or this should look like this, and yada yada. So I don't like going with a plan. I'm not much of a planner. It's more of like we'll see what happens.
Interesting. But it almost sounds like you kind of like let it simmer inside of you, or let it reach a boiling point, and then it like.
Yeah. It's like the good kind of vomit. Pretty much.
That's a good image.
Yeah, it's just pleasant, I'm sure.
But poetic projectile vomiting onto
the Notes app is my best friend. So I get like a bunch of notes in here where it's just like I get an idea and I'm like, and then a lot of times I don't come back to it. But you know, when I do, it's great.
Yeah, that's good. That's cool. It's just cool seeing how different people's creative processes are, and how, like, you know, Rachel seems to, you know, like you start off with worship and prayer, and then it looks different each time, and then you can be walking, and then Kyle, it's like, honestly, I don't know, let me just vomit onto this notepad. And so for myself, I know, like, it's kind of similar to you guys, where I don't necessarily like intentionally do anything. Honestly, I feel like Rachel, like the only intentional thing that I really do would be prayer. Like if I'm about to write something, like I generally do sit there and ask the Holy Spirit, hey, my creativity comes from you. Let's write this together. Like if you have any ideas, I'm here, I'm open, this is our time. And to, like, you know, spit it to me, drop that knowledge. Like, that's really the only intentional thing I do. But I do notice that once I'm in the zone, there are usually 3 particular things that will happen naturally. And they don't always happen, but usually they like, and one of them is like, I'll get really snackish. And so I'll just like grab some snacks like Doritos or Oreos or anything that's in the vicinity, and like just start snacking while I'm writing, what ideas are coming. And then I'll get up and I'll start moving. And just like as I'm thinking, I'm saying it out loud, and I'm moving around the room as I'm snacking. And I said 3 things, and now I can't remember what the 3rd thing is. But anyway, so let's just say it's 2. So what'd you say?
Something else.
Something else. But like, so that's kind of what the process looks like for me. Like the idea will come, and I'll sit there and start like kind of playing with it, and then I'll get hungry and start snacking. And as I'm snacking, for some reason, like that stimulates the creative juices and get up and moving, and that stimulates it more, and I'll keep writing. And so that's what my process kind of looks like. So next up, do you feel more connected with creativity through your body or through your heart and your head? Like I've said in the beginning, like we are nines, we're in the body triad. So do you feel more connected with your creativity through your body, or do you feel it also with your heart and your head? Like which one do you feel like is like the top one? Let's go, Rachel.
Sorry. It depends. I honestly, it's difficult for me to say but actually, honestly, more through body.
Yeah.
Because I definitely have to feel like every movement, every time I listen to a song, I want my body to embody it and feel like what the words are saying.
Yeah.
Like if it's trying to describe what song that we danced to? We danced to Come Out of Hiding. And it talks about and so it talks about like, not being ashamed of who you are and being okay with who God called, like to know that you are loved. And so to embody that, you kind of have to think of, it's just like for me, I have to realize like sometimes I feel like I want to hide from God, and I don't want to like express to him like, this is how God, like, how can you accept me for me? So it brings me to that place, and I feel in my body like that part of me that wants to hide. So it's both body and heart for me, but I definitely feel like for dance to really embody the creativity is really through the body and allowing yourself to express it through movement. So
that's good.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah. So it's like you physically feel the emotion that you're trying to convey, but in your body, it sounds like. That's cool. Cool. Kyle?
I'm not a dancer, so it's a little different.
It's a little different.
A little different. I think for sure starts in the body. Like I said, I don't necessarily spend time just like sitting down and writing unless I feel like there's either something I have to do, like there's a performance or something coming up, or like whatever. But it starts in the body for me just because I store up so much, and then it's like I start to feel like in my chest or my stomach, and it's like, yo, I gotta get this out, but like
I'm about to get poetic indigestion. Like,
right, like bubbling up. It's like real unfortunate. So I tend to like feel something physically, and then that's when I know like I gotta like write something or like say something or whatever, and then it kind of moves to the heart where I'm just getting more in tune with my emotions and writing that out just like completely raw, like whatever comes out, grammar mistakes and all, and then I go into my head and just like, okay, it would be cool if I added a rhyme here, or hey, it would be cool if I corrected this very horrible grammar mistake, like I don't know what I was trying to say there, kind of stuff like that. So I'd say in that like flow of things like heart, then body, heart, mind.
Okay.
For sure.
That's cool. Like when hearing you describe that, like you feel it in your chest and your stomach or something, that kind of reminds me of like when when you get a prophetic word and you feel like God is telling you to say this, and you feel like the heat like in the back of your neck or something, and it's like, I gotta say,
I can't just not do this.
Like the phone comes in, it's like in your chest, like, oh, I gotta get out.
Right.
Like, that's what I was thinking. Like physically, you feel it. For me, I similarly with you guys, I definitely connect more through my body. Like when my body is right, like when I physically feel okay, like it's easier for me to connect with my creativity. Like even when I think about how like those things that happen, like I'll get snackish or walk around, like those are things that get my body involved. Like if I'm like sometimes I'll feel like, oh, there's no snacks to eat, or like and like it's not that the ideas will stop, but it'd be like, oh, there's like a little hiccup. Or if I can't get up and move and I'm writing somewhere, then it's like, I'll still write, but there's a little bit of a hiccup there. Like, it's not the same. It feels like a little like too constricted. And so I definitely do connect with my creativity through my body. And then like kind of like you guys, then it gets to the head. Then I'll start thinking, oh, how do I connect this idea over here? It would be so cool, like if I lined up this scene in comparison to that scene. So now it's like a parallel between these two characters, and I'll see that in the head. And then heart honestly comes like dead last. Like my emotions, it's very difficult for me to connect, just like be like, oh, I need to be sad for this scene. I'll have to like connect with the body first, and then with the head, and then eventually the emotions will come. But I'll say more about that later with one of the next questions. So that being said, like since we're in the body type and we were talking about the body, I guess you kind of answered this already, but do you feel more creative? Like are you able to identify times that you felt more creative after you've been physically stimulated, like after a workout, after a walk, or after like, a nice meal or something? Have you guys ever seen that, or does that like not happen?
I think it does happen, but it's just very random. Like it has like as I said before, I said that like I was walking and I was actually walking to talk to a professor and Professor Locke at that moment, and it was about dance. It was about an opportunity to dance. So it was just interesting because I guess I was freaking out. I'm like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what song. And then the song came, and then like a little bit after that, while I was walking, then I got moved. So I was like, okay, so at least I have something to the table.
I just have something. That's cool.
So, but but that was at that moment. So in general, I mean, I was thankful I got stimulated during that time. But I think more so, I mean, it depends. I think more so I could be stimulated by like watching a YouTube video on another dance. Yeah. So it varies with me. Yeah, it depends.
Okay. Yeah. What about you, Kyle?
I'd say it depends for me too. I think my style with writing, I usually have to be sitting down in a place, or like I'll find usually like when we were back in Loudon's or whatever, like people would be going up and sharing. That's a poetry club for anybody that doesn't know what that is. But pretty much when other people would go up and share their work, I would like try not to be rude, but I would write some of my own stuff, just hearing some of theirs and like, oh, that reminds me of this in my own life.
That's good.
Right.
That's good.
Yeah. So I would do a lot of that stuff, or like I'd get alone and like listen to a worship song or whatever and talk to God, and I'd get like inspiration from that. But when it comes to like physical, I think I go on a lot of walks just to like clear my head, and I'm like into photography, and obviously we talked about video. I'll just look at stuff and be like, wow, that's gorgeous. And I just got to take a picture of it, or I got to like video it. And even if it doesn't go anywhere necessarily, like I just want to know that I caught it and I can remember like whatever. So yeah, in that sense, I don't know if it's like which one came first, the idea or like the fact that I was moving, but I do know like pretty much every single solitary time I go for a walk, there's always something like, oh, there's a leaf on the ground. That'd be cool. It's weird. Yeah.
That's valid. Yeah. I've had times where like time and time again, I will be going for a run, not thinking about an idea for a story or whatever. I'm just generally like, I need to work out today. This is just the time. Get out, go for a run, and like mid-run, like a scene will come in, like, oh, that would be dope. And I keep it going, and then like, oh, and then we could do that. And like, I need to work out. Like, I'm trying to focus on the run, and the idea keeps coming. I'm like out here like doing sit-ups, like, oh, that would be nice crazy too. And by the time the workout's done, I'm like on the phone, like, all right, we got to put that in there. Let me make sure I don't forget. And so, and even like there've been times where like I've had writer's block and been stuck on something, and then been able to go out and work out or do some parkour, and afterwards somehow like it created some kind of stimulus, and an idea came, and I was like, oh, that's something I could do. And so, but it doesn't happen every time, but it's happened enough that it's been like, that's an interesting pattern. So
it's correlation there.
yeah. So what is one of the biggest obstacles to your creativity, and do you think this is part of being a 9? Rachel, take it away.
But okay, the biggest obstacle I face is I overthink a lot. So if and I think it's a mixture of it's a constant reminder of letting myself know, like, when I dance is not to please people, is to please God. Because if I get so caught up in performance, then I'm missing the whole message of ministering and dancing. So it's that, like, because outside of that, like, there's moments where I definitely have most of like want to please others and make sure like everyone else is okay. But for example, I'll give an example. When the first time me choreographing for the dance team at NIAC, I did not budge on like changing. I mean, slight changes, but like I did not budge on the choreograph, because that was something that God placed in my heart to do for the first dance. And it took a lot out of me just to like stand firm on that, because I wanted everyone to be, to have their say. But it's like when God places something in your heart, you can't let people have so much say in it.
Yeah,
you
that's
know,
hey, that's a word.
you can't because like then you're basically saying, oh well, your opinion or what you think is more important than what God has already instilled in my heart to do. So it's just kind of like, okay. So I think that's my big obstacle like from that point on was just like not getting so caught up in like seeing if everyone's gonna like dance, seeing everyone gonna say good job, you know, like that was my obstacle. So yeah, I think it's more so like me being in my head and also dealing with people around and what other people think. And also like questioning myself as a dancer and seeing if I have done, because I know there's plenty of other people who are better dancers than me, but like I get so caught up in comparing myself to them because I feel like, oh, I don't think my dance moves was just as great like as that person. So then I start questioning the skills and the gift that God has gave me. So yeah.
Interesting. So comparison and overthinking.
That's good.
What's you, Kyle?
I felt you like real hard on the people pleasing thing. I didn't. Oh, that hurt. Honestly, when I get in a space where I start to share my art, it's like very terrifying because I know people's opinions as much as I try to like be like, oh, it doesn't matter. Like it definitely matters. So I'll be good if people either don't say anything or they say it's great and that was fantastic and wow, Kyle, you just created a new like wow, like whatever. But when they're just like, oh, it's all right, like that was cool that you did that, then I'm like, cool, so I shouldn't write any more ever again. Sounds good. Like, that's what it feels like. Because I put way too much emphasis on people's opinions and I have to constantly remind myself like it's not for anybody else and what I have to say is valuable and it's important even if people can't really hear it right then and there. And even like I've also learned that people's reactions to my face isn't necessarily people's reactions to my face isn't necessarily the reaction they're having in their heart, because I write some of the stuff that I write is a little like controversial or like hurts your heart kind of thing, and like be like, oh, that's awesome, good job, but then like I just whole life or whatever, or I just told my whole life and it correlates with theirs, and they're not necessarily gonna smile in my face if they kind of just don't want to talk to me right now. So I gotta be mindful of that too. And I think another thing is when I'm in a place where I'm emotionally numb, aka like when that physical feeling comes up and I ignore it for too long, it's kind of like boom, like it just dies like right there, just because I kind of have had a rhythm really long in my life where I just kind of shut off my emotions, and my emotions are really tied to my creativity. So
and that wouldn't, and that's definitely not good when you shut them down. When you shut the creativity down. That is tough, like to be caught up in what other people are going to be thinking, because like you're putting yourself out there, and especially as nines, like, you know, it's difficult as nine to express yourself because that's our struggle, like expressing ourselves to the world. But then ironically, as a creative, like that's what you do, express yourself. And so there's this like tug of war, like I want to express, but I don't, because of what people are going to think. And so that's definitely a tough battle. For me, actually, like my biggest obstacle to my creativity is just getting it done. Like once I start doing it, like once I start writing, it's like nothing can stop me. Like I'm just like, I'm all the way up kind of thing. Like I'm nothing can stop me. I'm here. And I can just write through the whole night, but it's just getting there. And I'm like, just actually sitting there. Like I'll do everything else. I'll just like clean the house, you know, just like go for a run, or like, you know, play Fortnite or something, you know, do homework or write a random paper, except for the story. And it's like, once I get there, I'm good. But I just need to like get to that first step. And so that can be really difficult.
It's like the hardest part.
Yeah. Tell us about a time that your creativity created conflict. Like as nines, we don't like conflict. Like we want to keep the peace, keep things. So like, tell us about a time your creativity created conflict. Either you spit a poem, Kyle, and people like, that was foul. Like you came from my life, I don't like you. Or you were doing a dance, choreographing something, Rachel, and there was like creative differences. Tell us about a time your creativity caused conflict, and how did you handle it? Rachel.
Oh, wow. I have a lot. I have like two, but I feel like one is a little bit more and can really, I guess, answer the question.
Yeah, sure. Give us
so and within the dance group, it was definitely. No, I'm not saying. No, I'm not saying.
I saw the sigh and I was like, "Oh, she's feeling that."
No. Like just in general, I think the obstacle when it would come to creativity is, I'm okay with, like, again, I'm okay with people having opinions, people having ideas, creativity, wanting to add to it. But I think it came to a point where I was just like, okay, you can't say yes to everything.
Yeah.
Like, you're gonna have to say no. And so it was just a moment where I'm just like, I really have to say no to this. Like, I really have to say no to that. And I would feel bad. I would feel bad for saying no, because it's just like, I think more so when it comes to, I keep coming back to the first dance, because for me, that was my first time really me stepping out.
Yeah.
And into a position that I never thought I was going to go into. Didn't think I was going to see myself in a leadership role like that. So, and that year was challenging itself. I was an RA, and I was also resident assistant, and then I was also a dance captain. So 2 different new roles for me, and I kind of like was nervous. So, especially with that first dance, it was conflict of not even, the creativity. It was just like sticking with what I have, and being confident.
We're gonna do this is the direction we're going in, and that's it. And that can be tough. It's good though that you fought through that, and the team was better for it.
Pop off.
Kyle, what about you?
Okay, so there was a time when I was asked to read in chapel a poem. It was like for creative arts. I don't remember exactly which one.
Yeah.
But essentially the poem was about like bridging gaps and stuff like that. And I was talking about experience I had. And earlier within the month, I had a bad experience with a friend of mine, and he had done something to me that really hurt me. And obviously, because my creativity so tied with my emotions, it was like me trying to put together a puzzle, and like this piece right here is going to make him and a lot of people angry. But because my creativity is so tied with my emotions, I don't know if I can finish this poem without putting this piece in here.
Oh wow, yeah.
So I'm like, oh no, how can I word this where maybe I'm talking about something else? I don't know.
I don't know. Who knows?
Who knows if the boot fits? Anyway, I did that. I worded it in the most general way possible, and some people knew what I was talking about. The person that was in the incident, like, definitely knew what I was talking about. So that was fun. But other people were really touched by that, and it was really cool, like, seeing people affected positively by my experience and me being vulnerable with that. But yeah, I definitely had a discussion with said friend, and it turned out being okay. We're not friends anymore, but it's unrelated. But yeah, definitely I had to, just because it felt like it was such like an important thing to say.
Yeah.
Not for like, let me get back at this person, but because of what the poem was about, which is bridging gaps. Me talking about how, like, my experience with this one incident made me feel distant from somebody, but like I have a choice to forgive, kind of a thing. Like, that was a powerful thing. So yeah.
That's cool. Well, for me, I haven't had any like conflict, at least not to my face, with stories that I write. Like, nobody really has been like getting upset because of like a children's fantasy novel that I wrote.
Yo, Book of Elion smacked me in my face.
Right? Like, you know, I was offended by that, like, kind of thing. Like, that's never happened. However, my blog posts where I like talk about current events or like social issues and like particularly racial issues. That has in the past, like ironically, usually no smoke comes. Like people just read, oh, that's cool, that's great. But there was one particular time that I wrote about a topic, and I got some smoke from people, and it was funny. Like I got some smoke online, and I got some smoke offline, and I was like, this is interesting. And so there was a moment of like ironically, like me as a non, like I don't like the conflict, but when somebody initiates it, then I'm like, all right, we're here.
Right.
Here. It's like if you throw the first punch, I'm good.
Relate.
I'm not throwing the first punch.
Right.
Like I just said what I said. This is my personal opinion, and then you come in, you're terrible. Like, what is wrong with you? And like, all right, here we are.
Yeah.
yeah, right. But like then that happened. They feel like we were able to navigate it. Like what was interesting is like I had all the internal like fights and like angry inside. It didn't come out, but it was just like I didn't start a Twitter war or whatever. But anyway, yeah. So I've created conflict in that sense with my writing. What revives your creativity when it dies? And do you think that this is tied to being a type 9? And Rachel felt that one in her story. So what
just
revives?
Dies, it's gone.
It just dies. What brings you to life, Rachel?
Oh, I felt that. Like I really felt that. That was a good question. What revives me? I love to be inspired by dances like that, like seeing other people. Like I remember one time, I haven't been there for a while now, but I remember one time watching this video, and it was like it was very, the way the dance was really prophetic, but oh my goodness, like I was sitting there, I was like mind blown, and I was just like, wow, like that was like, I felt God was speaking to me like, Rachel, don't stop here. Like despite your outside, like don't stop here. Don't think just because your story at night might have ended, that doesn't mean like you can't continue on.
It's the end of the chapter, not the end of the story.
Right. So it was just like I needed that push to let me know like that experience formed a leader inside of me, but that was just a preparation. But like outside of that, that's like a part of me, but that's not who I am, so I love like videos, me dancing by myself but no one's around. That revives me.
That's cool. Okay. That's cool.
That's awesome.
So God speaking through other dances revives you when your creativity is low. That's cool. What about you, Kyle?
Okay, so with God, well, the short answer is Jesus. Yay, amen. But longer answer is, remember how before GPSs we had like MapQuest where like the passenger had, I went on a trip, like a road trip with my family once, and I think my dad was driving, and I would tell him like, yo, get off at exit, like say exit 13, like that's when we're getting off of. And I say it like well in advance. And I say it like once we're approaching it. And he passes it still. And I'm like, but I said. I
can picture your tone. But I said.
I said, and he like gets mad at me. He's like, why did you say it before? Like I
did.
Yes, sir. I'm sorry. So
right.
It's like that with God, only I'm the driver.
I said it.
Like I told you, like, yeah. So when my creativity dies, it's a lot like that, where I like feel lost and I'm like, I don't even know why I thought writing was a good thing in the first place. I don't know why I thought I should sing. Like, that was such a stupid idea, yada yada. Yeah. I get like really down on myself, and then God's like, but I said like this is something I want you to do. Like we're here. Like I showed you. Like we're here. Like we have a plan.
I've called you.
Right. Like we talked about this, but like we talked about this, and I just forget. So what revives a lot of my creativity is God doing different things to remind me why I'm called, just because I get like amnesia or something, like it's really bad. But legit, that sometimes will happen through a YouTube video where I'll just see a spoken word. I like to watch a lot of different spoken words, and seeing people write, I'm just like, wow, they write just like me, or this person writes completely different than me. Yeah. And I didn't know that was even a thing you could do. I didn't know that was allowed. Like,
God is like, I said it.
I said it, like, yeah, boom, like, yeah. And like, I'll watch different things, like videos of people making videos, or people playing like a game sometimes will even inspire me, or people sing, especially music. Music is like a huge thing for me. And like, when I hear a song that really gets to me, God, I'll be like crying, and he'll just be like, yeah. Yeah, just go, just feel your emotions, go ahead. But so just doing different things to remind me why I started what I'm doing, and not letting whatever circumstance that's in my face stop me from, I guess, doing what I know I'm called to do.
That's good.
Which is to create in some way, shape, or form.
Called to create.
Yes.
For me, my creativity gets revived plain and simple, like you guys with God. Short answer, Jesus. But what he seems to usually do is, like, there are those like meteor strike moments where like I'll be minding my business and be in the middle of a service or something, and like the Spirit comes and like strikes me, and he's like, "This is what I called you to do. Like, don't forget it." And I get that, and oh my goodness, like, yeah, right. It's like that happens, but it seems like more often what he'll use is other stories. Like when I see really good stories, like a story that's told really well, and I'm sitting there like, "Oh wow, I see what you did there. I'm gonna go home and I'm gonna do that." Like like when I watched Moana, when the first time I saw Moana, I left the theater like, what? It's like that, I had a whole week filled of like inspiration from that. So seeing really good stories, whether it's a movie, a TV show, or reading a book, that the story is just so good that usually will revive me if I'm like at a creative low. And I think it's interesting that all of us have said basically that the thing that revives our creativity is seeing other people do that same art, like seeing other people dance, seeing other people do spoken words, seeing other people tell stories, and like that revives our creativity itself. And so that just shows for me the importance of consuming other creativity.
Also, if I can add one more thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
When I hear other people tell their stories also, that's a huge thing too. When people are telling like their testimonies, or even just talking about like even an experience they had like that day, I'm like, yo, God is because good. Part of what I feel like, I think we're all called to do, but I think 9 specifically, like we create art oftentimes, or I'll speak for myself. I mean, not do it. Yeah, everybody. Yeah, no. I create art oftentimes with a couple people in mind that I want to help or I want to see victory for.
Yeah, that's good.
So I'll like be praying about somebody, and then I'll hear them talk about like one incident they had, and I'm like, yo. Sometimes I'll have just a straight up conversation and be like, oh, this is what I feel like God's telling me, yada yada. But sometimes God will give me like a poem or something else, and it'll just be like, okay, I hope this blesses you. I hope this helps you out with whatever you're going through. And it's cool. But yeah,
that's good.
Good stories, and that reminded me.
That's good. That's good. Yeah. So we've learned a lot about your creative processes. Learned a lot about what obstacles come in the way of your creativity. What would you like to say to end it all to any 9s out there who are creatives like you, to encourage them? Like if you can give them one bit of encouragement, what would you say to them?
I would give a lot, but time-wise, I'm not going to go on a rant. One thing that came to mind was like your voice matters, and especially when you feel like it's always something about like not feeling good enough, or you're not good enough to do a certain thing. That always popped up in my head, or self-doubt. And like your voice matters, and what you do and how you use your gift. Like don't let you take care of that, because that's yours, and don't let anyone else try to take that from you or make you feel less than or that you can't do it, because you can do it. You just have to really take that time out for yourself and really go through different process. I think for type 9s, I find myself very, my creativity to be very spontaneous sometimes. It's not like this certain way. It just comes when it comes and it goes the way it goes. So just like allow yourself to go through the process. Don't overthink it, and know that the way that you go through your creative process, that's how you do it, and don't let no one make you feel like that's wrong.
That's good.
That's good.
You, Kyle?
I think my advice would just be to ask yourself, who cares? Like, I think, as Rachel talked about before, 9s have a tendency to overthink a lot. So that can affect how much of yourself you let into your art and how much you share when it comes time to share. And at least from the 9s that I know, we tend to be more quiet people, not necessarily like quiet personality type, but we're like slower to react. And I think that's almost an advantage in that we observe more. So the likelihood of you saying something so controversial that people just were like, you know what, clips, like it's not like it's just not it's not as likely as you would think. You sharing your opinion, because you've held on to it for so long, usually it's pretty well formulated. So maybe you'll get a couple people that will have an opinion about what you said or feel some type of way about it, but because you've thought about it and you've handled your words with care, people aren't less likely to get offended, and you can like have a productive conversation. I mean, conflict isn't all bad. I hate it. But it's not all bad. Like, it helps growth and it brings people closer to you, closer to God in a lot of cases. So I guess lean into it, and when you're writing, just don't care as much. I wouldn't say don't care at all, because caring's important, but like, don't care as much.
Okay, that's good. For me, I would, if I were to encourage any 9s out there who are creatives watching this, I would encourage you to be yourself, because I think that's what we struggle with as well as 9s. Like, we can easily blend with the people around us in order to keep the peace, to keep the status quo, and we can become what people want us to be. Like Kyle said, like create what they want you to create, and we can easily get involved in that, and in that process lose ourselves and try to become what we think people want us to be, and lose touch with actually who we want to be. And so I would say be yourself. Like, don't try to be what anyone else wants you to be. Be who God made you to be, because the world needs you, not who you think you should be. And so I guess the encapsulated would be, your voice matters, don't overthink it, and be yourself.
Period. Same.
Well, this has been really great. You guys shared a lot of great stuff, and thank you so much for for taking time out of your day to do this. And so I really appreciate you guys, really appreciate your creativity, and thanks again.